upside down. Come on. You always have to stand on my chest. Alright. Are you gonna sit here while I talk to the camera? Huh? Okay. I do love you though. Hey guys, so in today's video I'm going to be telling you a really traumatic, tragic case about a boy in a box. And I'm sorry, my dog wants to be held right now and I really need to film this video. So to go ahead and just get into it, in February of 1957 a man came across a cardboard box, and he noticed that in this cardboard box was the remains of a little boy. And he actually didn't call the police until the next day, where the police opened up an official case and investigation on February 26, 1957. And the reason being that this person didn't come forward right away is because they stated they didn't want to get involved, but upon further investigation, whenever I went ahead, I looked it up because that didn't sit with me well, and that wasn't sufficient enough for me. It was actually known that he was stalking a girl from his school, and that's why he was in those woods, and that is why he didn't want to call. So I guess his conscience got the best of him, and he did as deceased in this box and the whereabouts. Upon further investigation, police found that there was a serial number on this box, and the serial number was traced back to a JCPenney's that sold bassinets, and the box had actually originally carried a bassinet. So whenever they looked up who had bought a bassinet, there was 12 in the area, and later on, 8 of those people came forward and contacted police, letting them know that they had either thrown out the box for discard or they still had the box for the bassinet. And that's quite a bit, 8 out of 12, meaning there was only kind of like 4 people that they would be looking into. However, this didn't produce any leads once they looked into it, and they actually found a scarf, handkerchief, and hat next to the boy. The boy was wrapped in a blanket, and he was naked. And so to find a scarf, a hat, and a handkerchief was pretty damning evidence, and it didn't really lead them anywhere once again except for a dead end. So unfortunately they went ahead and took fingerprints and footprints. They sent out over 400,000 flyers, police did, to different police agencies, different police departments, different things, hoping that someone would come forward, someone would recognize this little boy, someone knew who this little boy was. And when that didn't produce any leads, they really felt like, that this was never going to be solved. And in February of 2002, a woman by the name of M, I've heard her called Martha, but I've more or less heard her referred to as M, went to the police, the hospital, and demanded that she talk to the police, and she told police that she had a mother who had physically and sexually abused her most of her life, and that in the summer of 1974, her mother had purchased a little boy and abused this little boy and made him live in the basement. And her story also claimed that the boy had ate dinner with them, they had baked beans, and that afterwards he had gotten sick and actually thrown up. And the crazy part about this, I'll get into in a second, she then claims that her mother took him into the bath to rinse him off after beating him. So she beat him after he got sick from dinner, then took him to the bath after he was unconscious to clean him off. And at some point during the bath, this little boy actually passed away. And she claims to help her mother in the covering up of this murder. So she claims that her mother made her helped chop this boy's hair off because he had very long blonde hair, and then took him to a back road in Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania, and had dropped him off in a cardboard box. Now, she also stated that a man had drove by once they were trying to unload the box from the car and asked if they needed any help, and her mother demanded she stand in front of the license plate number. And so M did just this. She stood in front of the license plate number. The man drove off after he realized that these people didn't want help or didn't need it. And another part of her story that police had never released to public was that the contents of his stomach, the remains that was found in his belly, was baked beans. In my opinion, she knew information that they hadn't released. She was right about the addresses. She was right about the hair, which actually he had a shaved head, but he had clumps of hair all over his body. He had a... No. Lay down. Now. Lay. He had clumps of hair stuck all over his body, which were determined that they were his hair. He had an L-shaped scar on his chin. He had a scar on his ankle, and he had a scar on his groin. And this kind of all made sense back to the fact that maybe he was dressed as a girl. Maybe, you know, that's why no one recognized him. And so theorists came forward with a photo that showed him as a girl, and no leads came of this yet again. And police really took everything that M said lightly and didn't take it seriously because she had a history of mental health illness. Even though there's so many aspects of the story she had no idea of knowing, yet came forward to police and told. And also had been years and years later that she told this story. And I feel like, you know, some of the mental illness, the mental health issues could have strung from her mother being abusive sexually and physically, which she claims she was. And this boy was extremely malnourished. His ribs were showing through his skin, and the only thing that helped to make him look like he wasn't, the only thing that made him look like he wasn't malnourished or unkept or treated unwell was because his fingernails were freshly clipped, his hair was freshly cut, and he looked like he had just been bathed. And that's another, you know, huge piece of evidence that cops didn't release to the public. You know, they weren't like, there's a missing child and he looks like he just had a bath, you know. They definitely didn't release that to the public, and so for her to know those three things and give this full story... I have the hiccups. To give this full story with, you know, all these details, addresses, little tidbits that the police hadn't released, I really feel like they should have probably taken her more seriously. However, they didn't. And because of that, this case is still open and unsolved, unfortunately. He is buried in a cemetery in Pennsylvania with a ginormous headstone stating, it says, America's Unknown Child. And that's just really sad to me, to think that there's potentially a suspect in this case and the police didn't look into it because it has been so long. He still deserves justice. He still deserves to, you know, the person that did this still deserves justice. Like, he deserves justice, so the person that did this to him definitely deserves something to be done to them. Obviously, there isn't that much information on this case, just that he was between 4 and 6 years old, maybe 7 years old. He weighed 30 pounds. He stood at 3 foot tall, and one of the most eerie and just unsettling parts of this case is that once the flyers had been sent out and they didn't get any leads, they actually dressed the boy up, propped him up, and took photographs of him. And I'm not going to include these photographs, only the drawings, just because I don't think it's necessary to show the photographs. However, they took photographs of a dead little boy in order to try and find the person who did this to them and then years later they get evidence that they might, a lead that they might know, and they don't search it, they don't investigate it any further. It's just heartbreaking, and maybe one day justice will come for this little boy. I highly doubt that. It has been so many years. I don't want to doubt that, but at this point, who knows? It is a terrifying case, and I wanted to cover it because it's one that really interests and intrigues me, and is just really heartbreaking and sad, and opens up the world's eyes to how many child neglection and malnourished children there are out there from people who keep other children or keep their firstborn. And I don't really know what else to say. I say this in most of my outros, but ending these videos really is hard for me because I feel like I haven't done enough justice for them. I haven't done enough for them. So one day when my platform is bigger, this will bring more media coverage and exposure, and I can help, bring and shed the light on sex trafficking and murders and unsolved mystery cases of all these people who are brothers and sisters and fathers and cousins and friends and mentors and people, role models that people look up to that just disappear from their life. It is extremely, extremely sad, and I actually got very emotional while researching this case, just thinking of all the possible and potential other cases that are happening right now. So if you guys give this video a like, I'm not trying to do it for my own gain. I'm not trying to do it for my own exposure. I am not asking for likes on any of my makeup videos. I am only asking for likes on videos of missing people because I feel like those are the videos I want boosted. Those are the videos I want YouTube to share and show. So if you're interested in other videos, mine pops up on the sidebar. Any like helps. I can't see who likes and who doesn't like my videos. All I can see is who comments on them. So I just want to say, any comment and any like makes a world of difference in the possible findings of these cases, as well as the media exposure in these cases I'm putting out. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video.